What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Nature's Jewels. On today's video, I'm going to give you the rundown of how the 60-gallon paludarium worked and how I hope it'll give you some of your own ideas. Thanks for chiming in again, guys. I really appreciate it. One of my viewers, Raven, this is a little shout out for you, actually has been wanting to design her own type of paludarium or enclosure for some firebelly toads. And I think this is a great setup. So I've got some things in the works. As you can tell, this is no longer operational, but we're gonna go ahead and dive in here real quick, and I'm gonna give you a close-up so you can see what I did, how I did it, and hopefully give you some ideas for yourself. All right, so the first thing you guys are gonna notice is that actually on this side, I used to have a big piece of cork bark tubing or hollow, kind of like that one right there, and it came down over here and created the waterfall area. As you can see, just like with a lot of other designs and scapes, I used a lot of great expanding foam, and I kind of hid some stuff in here, and it's really kind of neat how I did it, so I wanted to show you guys. And Raven, I hope this gives you some really good ideas. For the firebelly toads, firstly, I want to go ahead and mention that for this rockscape that I designed here, make sure you use the marine grade great stuff expanding foam, okay? It tends to take a little bit longer to cure, but it usually, well, any of the expanding great foam stuff, once it's cured, it's good and it's pH neutral and stuff like that, but you have to wait a little while, and especially when you start getting depth like I have up here, when you get those really thick areas, one thing I found is it took a lot longer for those areas to cure that are deeper set back. So this is just the water portion. All this rock work and stuff like that, I got in here with a X-Acto knife. And once I carved it all out, I started layering some fine concrete, and I mixed it. Originally, I mixed it with some black stainer that you can add to your concrete, and I mixed that in first, and I did that as my base coat. And then I went over it with several other coats of the gray concrete so that the original black coat would give all the rock work the depth that I wanted it to create. Something that she was asking about was, how do you get it to filter through the media? Well, as you can see right there, I think those are about 1/2-inch pipe. Those are the overflows, okay? All throughout this front rock wall, I allowed gaps and spaces for the water to filter through naturally. But what I found was, with the Riccia that I had in the tank and some of the other small aquatic plants, as they got dislodged or waste or moss or whatever would start to clog those areas, I needed those relief overflows. So I put one lower, and then right here, I'm gonna have to point it out. You know what, I'll just go ahead and throw some arrows in here where I have those tubes. But right there, I got one lower for the main drainage and one higher as an additional overflow. And then I have another one over here. I don't know if you're gonna see it, but I had another one over here as well. So basically did is I created a skeletal structure to mount this all to. This was a long process. It took about 6 months to do. But on the back side here, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. I'm going to do the best I can. I got some egg crate, and then I got some screen, and I zip tied it in a lot of different places, and that created a filter, right? So the water was able to pass through here initially, but it started to clog up, and which is why I needed to start creating some relief holes. The back side of this media, and then if you guys are wondering up front here, I use some of that Carob Sea, I think it's like a 2.0, and it encourages plant growth and stuff like that, and it's a really good pH buffer, and it's live, so you can kind of jump start the cycling process if you guys use this Carob Sea. This backside, this is a really good filtering media, Lava Rock. Just go to your local home and garden store, your hardware store, or whatever. Get some of a bag of the Lava Rock. I think you can get this for, I want to say between $5 and $8 for a big bag, maybe 12 where you are. I don't know. It varies what part of the country you live in, or if you are in another country. But it's a very porous material. It allows a lot of beneficial bacteria to grow, and that will help keep your water quality better because it'll break down the ammonia, nitrites, nitrates, and things like that. Now, above this layer, I went ahead and this was actually a little bit deeper. This was a little higher because I wanted a deeper water area. You're going to want the Lava Rock to be to the top most part and above the depth of your water in the front section, okay? Then you're going to want to layer that with some more mesh, and then probably, like, it would be a good idea to do some filter floss fabric kind of over the top. Otherwise, you could just use the mesh, and then you go over it with your Eco Earth and potting soil mix, or whatever you decide to use for your dirt media for your plants. What that goes to, and let me move some of the rocks. It's gonna get real dirty now because this has been sitting for a while, but anyway, what that goes to in the back here for my pumps, I took 3-inch non-corrugated piping that you would use for sumps in a basement and stuff like that, and I used the solid tube, and it goes all the way up the back, okay? And I drilled holes in the bottom to allow the water to pour through. The water pours through into the pumps, and you can add some mechanical filtration here if you want, using some simple filter floss or whatnot. But this is where the magic kind of happens. And down here, if you can see, down there is a 80 gallon per hour pump. Here, let me move this out real quick so you guys can see this, what's going on. Okay, so now I pulled it out of the top of that piping that's coming up from the bottom down there. And this is an 80 gallon per hour pump. It's just a little cheapy one, you know, that you can get. It's like made in China or something like that. But I think it was like $8 or $9 or something like that. And I ran that up here, and I made another hole right where the cork bark came out and through. You can see a section of the cork bark still there with some foam around it and stuff like that. But that came out here, and that poured down, but it was hidden inside the cork bark tube to where it was just pouring out the end all the way down here, and that was creating flow and circulation through the water column this way. Over here, I did a very similar thing. back in the opposite corner. I don't know if I'll be able to get a shot of it. Let me see. Sorry if it's a long video, guys. I'm just working on it real quick. Yeah, see on this side, same thing. I got the holes drilled, foam all around it, but I allowed the water to fill through there, and then the pump pumped it from down here where the water is pouring through all the way up, and then I actually have this section of piping behind this pot. There's a cork bark going this way, and then I have it coming down through there. So, and then that one poured out both of these because I just kept the piping up a little bit higher. So, and then that created two different spots of circulation, since this was my wider, deeper body area, or not deeper, but wider water area column. And then I tried just doing a nice natural transition from the rock up to this dirt type wall. And for that, you'll see a lot of videos, you know, you just get some black silicone, and you're gonna, once your Great Stuff expanding foam has set and cured properly and had time to dry, you're gonna put your black latex or latex silicone or whatever all over the back area. You have to work really quick, have your bucket of dry Eco Earth, and just start dabbing it in and pressing it down and getting it all to hold and stuff like that. And it'll create this really cool earth wall back here. And then you just kind of pick and choose where you're going to put your pots, how many plants you would like to keep in there, what types of plants, the space you have available. Obviously, you're going to want to try to utilize the entire enclosure, the types of animals that you're keeping in there, underneath and around there, and just plant accordingly. I feel like I forgot to touch on something else. Something you guys were asking about. Oh, the footprint. You guys were worried about, or some people were worried about the footprint and like how much space those croc skinks had to crawl around and stuff. Well, I mean, you can kind of see now that it was pretty good size. The main problem with this setup for my red-eye croc skinks and what I wasn't happy with was they are a male-female pair. They do breed, and in this type of enclosure, I would suggest keeping probably a solo individual would be best in here. You guys will see in the future, this video will come, or this tank will get set up again, and something new will be in here, and I'm gonna do it up different. This just provides a new opportunity for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry I destroyed the 60-gallon vivarium. Don't worry, it's not the end of the world. It will be back, better than ever. But that's got to make you think, if I tore this down, what the hell did I put my red-eye crocodile skinks in? Stay tuned to find out. Raven, great question. I hope this answered a lot of your thoughts and gave you a lot of great ideas for your fire belly toad setup. Until next time, this is Mr. Crawlings, and if you keep it crawling.